Two of Southeast Asia's most popular cities, both incredible in their own ways. But if you only had time to visit the one country, which one should you actually visit? I've been lucky enough to have the time and money to visit both Singapore and Malaysia. And let me tell you, they are very similar, almost an extension of one another. If you've watched my full travel guides on both cities, you already know how amazing each one is. But in this video, I'm breaking it down further. Cost, food, transport, things to do and overall vibe. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one is right for you. So let's start with the biggest factor for most people, and that's money. Kuala Lumpur is my number one pick when it comes to the best value city I've ever been to. You can find luxury hotels at budget prices. I often say to people, Kuala Lumpur is the affordable luxury version of Singapore. And the food, bruv, the best value food I've ever experienced. Everywhere you look, there's delicious meals all around Malaysia, and they only cost about £2 each. Also, the Uber rides, also known as Grab rides in Southeast Asia, are as cheap as bottles of water here in the UK. Singapore, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. One of the most expensive cities in the world, let alone Asia. Hotels will be your main expense. We stayed at the YMCA Hotel, budget hotel, located fairly close to the action at a price of approximately £750 for 4 days. That's almost 3 times the price we paid in Kuala Lumpur, where we had stayed for 6 days at the heart of the action, Bukit Bintang. When it comes to the food scene, Singapore is much more expensive than Malaysia. However, prices are relative if you eat at hawker centres, and the quality generally felt more polished than any food in Malaysia. That being said, food in Singapore, compared to my other travel experiences, is still much more affordable comparing it to any country in Europe. If budget is your main concern, Kuala Lumpur wins this, and it's not even close. Now let's talk about food. This one is close, still different. Kuala Lumpur's food scene is insane. Malay, Indian and Chinese influences all mixed together. The variety, affordability and flavours make food in Kuala Lumpur that much more enticing. There's an abundance of food everywhere you look, and you can find dedicated streets of food such as the Jalan Alor street food market. Food scene in Malaysia feels more local, more gritty and more real. On the other side, Singapore's food scene is more refined, super clean, organised and a magnitude of affordable Michelin recognised stalls and restaurants. In terms of variety and influence, Singapore and Kuala Lumpur share many similarities. Even though Singapore is more polished and refined, Kuala Lumpur hits harder with flavour, character and affordability. Again, I've got to give this round to Malaysia. Getting around a country can make or break a trip. Luckily, both countries are extremely walkable, and that is what I recommend you choose to do over taking any taxis or trains. It's the best way to explore a country, hands down. Nevertheless, both countries offer extremely affordable modes of transport. In my experience, we only took taxis in both Singapore and Kuala Lumpur, and they were both very efficient. Although Kuala Lumpur's taxis are much cheaper than Singapore, it does suffer from a lot more congestion, which can affect the journey. Singapore, on the other hand, is slightly more expensive, but much more efficient. I've not experienced the metro, but I've heard that it is very good. Overall, Singapore is stress-free, so I'm going to have to give this round to Singapore. Singapore feels like a futuristic playground. You've got Gardens by the Bay, Sentosa Island and Clarke Quay. Everything feels polished, like the city was designed perfectly. Kuala Lumpur feels more layered. You've got the Batu Caves, you've got Bukit Bintang and the Genting Highlands, a place where temples, street markets and skyscrapers can all reside together. Singapore feels perfect, yet Kuala Lumpur feels more real. For this round, I'm going to have to give it a tie. Now this is a more personal feel. This is determined by the type of person that you are and how you are as a traveller. I started with Kuala Lumpur, had no expectations and was blown away. The city had a busy yet calm vibe at the same time. I loved the fact that I could walk out at quite literally any moment in the day and find 10/10 food. Busker performances were on almost every night. The atmosphere just felt electric. We ended off this 3-week trip with Singapore. For such a tiny country, it felt massive. I had high expectations for Singapore and my gosh, it did not disappoint. This country had me feeling at peace, sitting by the bay alongside many others eating amazing food. I almost cannot describe this sensation. It's refined, it's luxurious, and it's still so accessible. Personally, I'm going to have to give this point to Singapore. If you're into content creation like myself, there may be another factor for you to consider. In my opinion, Singapore is better for those cinematic shots. It's clean, it's symmetrical and aesthetic. Kuala Lumpur, on the other hand, is better for storytelling. It's more gritty, has more character, more history and more human emotions. Singapore looks better on camera, but Kuala Lumpur feels better on camera.
Spicy, I'm gonna do that.
Choose Singapore if it's your first time in Asia. You're limited on the amount of days you have, you're looking for something easy and stress-free, and you like modern, clean cities. Or go for Kuala Lumpur. It's budget-friendly, more culture and variety, you don't mind a more chaotic atmosphere. Or if you simply prefer a more authentic experience. It's extremely difficult for me to recommend one over the other, but if I had to choose, I'd go with Kuala Lumpur. But you can't go wrong with either. In all honesty, I would go to both again because if you've made the effort to travel all the way there, you may as well get the most out of your plane ticket.